Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know. For this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Waverider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
Yes, hello, Super Fam of Steel. We're back in Smallville for Season 2, Episode 5 of Superman and Lois, called Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. Why does that sound like an 80s song? Like I expect Lionel Richie or somebody to be singing that.
It is a song.
Yeah.
And now, here are your hosts, the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, the Maid of Mischief Harley Quinn, and the Blue Beacon of Hope, X-Force 11.
But even bigger excitement than this episode and the fact that we're back after a hiatus is this is our 200th episode of Tomorrow's Legends. And do you know how big a deal that is? And the reason I want to say it like this, because most TV shows really struggle to get to 100 episodes. That's like a milestone for a TV show to get to, because that mark means that they're eligible to go into syndication, meaning they can be played in replays and still continue making money. So the fact that we are doubly better than that is a pretty big deal. 200 episodes.
Nice.
We can go into syndication now.
Yeah. So we were discussing behind the scenes here, how do we want to celebrate? And we usually like to do some little contest or giveaway. So I think the idea is, out of all of the feedback that we get for Legends tomorrow, since we started with Legends, we'll wait till our Legends show tomorrow. So all the feedback that we get for Legends tomorrow will be entered in the draw, and we'll just do a draw. And I think the gift we're going to give away today is one of our, I guess you guys can't see, I'm trying to point on the wall. We have these little 8x10 canvases of the Tomorrow's Legends podcast with our mugs on it and all of the shows that we cover, our logos and everything. You've seen it. It's on our Facebook page. So we got a couple of those little extra canvases in. So that'll be the prize up for grabs for all of the feedback we get for tomorrow, Legends of Tomorrow. Fair? Sound good?
Sounds good.
I have a clarifying question. Because
Sure.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that has it. Are we only counting Legends feedback, or are we counting Superman and Lois and Legends feedbackers?
That's up to you guys. Well, I was just thinking Legends feedback because we seem to get more of it, but what do you guys want to do? Include both? Feedback we got tonight and feedback for tomorrow?
I would say if there's somebody in tonight that's not in tomorrow, then include them. But
okay.
Yeah,
sure.
I think of our feedbackers, we tend to have the same crew for both shows, but I just wanted to make sure, just in case. I know that we do have some listeners that only listen to one or the other.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure we didn't unintentionally leave anybody out, but maybe that was intentional.
No, let's include them, because our official 200th episode is a Superman episode, and we're going to award the winner on our 201st episode, which is Legends, because we started with Legends, and this is 200 episodes of Tomorrow's Legends. So yeah, we'll combine them both. There you go.
Okay.
So all feedbackers, you are in on that. And with that, let's get to the show, because I am the 2 centuries old Flash.
I'm just going to be Harley Quinn.
And I'm X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
Yes, we are here. Everything is back to normal again. All right. We got some news, guys. What is going on in the news world this week, Mr. X-Force, our newscaster?
So this was interesting. I've heard of the Critics' Choice Awards, but they're doing something new. This is their second year. They're doing the Critics' Choice Super Awards.
Oh.
And it awards superhero movies and TV shows. And both Tyler and Superman and Lois were nominated. So Tyler was nominated for Best Actor in a Superhero Series, and the series was nominated for Best superhero TV series. So that's kind of exciting. I'm not sure exactly when the awards are going to be, but that was very cool that we were nominated for those 2 awards.
That is
Yes,
super
because
cool.
how much have you heard me saying Tyler deserves recognition for this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know much about this Critics Super Awards, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That tells you something about the superhero genre because, as TV shows go, it's really just DC right now, unless they're going to include the Marvel shows on Disney Plus. I don't know, but on regular cable TV, DC has got all the marbles in the bag, basically.
That's true.
Yeah, they did include the Marvel TV shows, and I think they included The Boys on Amazon.
Oh boy!
And so I think it's kind of balanced out as far as the TV goes. But yeah, DC has more though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Still cool.
Yeah, that's exciting. Exciting news for Tyler. Let's root for him. Way to go. Now, for those of you that have not been paying attention to the Facebook page, I know not everybody does, not everyone's in there. I did make a little announcement that I am releasing a solo podcast, just me, based on the Peacemaker series, which just finaled its first season. It was on HBO Max, and I watched it, and I absolutely loved it, and I want a podcast about it, so I'm going to be releasing a solo series on that soon. I'm probably going to get to work on it this weekend, so if you guys want to get in feedback, it is an entire season being covered in one episode, so send in your feedback that's talking about the whole season. I want to know your thoughts, how you thought it went, what you loved, what you didn't like, and where you think it's going to go for season 2, because they just got greenlit for season 2, so that's the kind of feedback I want to include on it. And then to add on top of that, I'm going to release that to everybody, but to add on top of that, the other announcement we want to make is that for our Patreon supporters, we have a new idea to add to your support rewards, and that's during the off season of our regular shows like Legends and Stargirl and Superman Lois. When we got nothing going on, each of us hosts are going to choose one other TV show and do a solo episode covering that show's entire season. And if we got extra time, maybe we'll do a weekly series on it instead, like you're used to hearing. We'll see. But right now we've decided on covering an entire season like I'm going to do for Peacemaker. Because we've been trying to come up with some more extra content for our Patreon account and entice more of you to support the show. So we've also been thinking on how can we incorporate that train of thought. And we're looking into making the tier system work for us a little bit more. So for instance, if you only pick the $1 a month, that allows you to join us for the Hangout sessions, which have been quite popular. But that's it. That's all you'll have access to. You won't be able to get the extra content that we release, like these, season-long extra coverage kind of thing, unless you move to the next tier up, which might be the $5 a month tier or higher. So something along those lines is how we're trying to break it down, because we've been looking at how other Patreon accounts work, and they tend to operate on a level, on a tier system like that. The higher the tier you go, the more perks you get. And we're just trying to figure out a way to entice more people to come in, because, we keep talking to you guys here, like we're only asking for $1 a month, $2 a month, and it's not anything at all. We know people spend more than that on cigarettes, coffees, whatever, on a daily basis. So we're not even asking a lot. We're asking you to support the work and effort that we put into this show, because it's hard to take a medium that you're used to getting for free. Podcasting has been free for so long, and then suddenly you have to pay for your content now. Well, that's not where we're not asking for you to buy our podcast. We're asking you to support our efforts and our time and our work. Mm-hmm. That's what this is all about. So those of you that support, we totally appreciate you and love, that you guys are saying, hey, we do appreciate the work that you do. So it's our way of saying thanks and showing our gratitude for that. And we want to start adding more to it. And this is the idea we came up with, because we're all busy and we're not going to be able to be on Patreon 5 days a week giving you extra content. We can't do that. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
But, I do 4 podcasts sometimes, and I don't have extra time like that. So,
yeah.
So there you go. That's what we want to announce to you guys, and make sure that when you are on Patreon, make sure your addresses, your physical mailing address, is included in your account, and that way we don't have to harass you for sending out awards, like is what's going to come up tomorrow and things like that. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing with that is we're also going to include in the tier that once you reach a certain level of support, like if you've over your lifetime have donated $50 to our Patreon, you'll automatically get a Tomorrow's Legends shirt, or something like that. That just becomes automatic once you reach the list. So it's going to build up like that.
Yeah, and PP will have received those perks, and so everybody, we've had a few longtime patrons that have seen some of these extra benefits, and the hangouts have been really fun. They've been fun for us. I think they've been really fun for those that are able to join. So we're happy to continue that, and we're just trying to come up with some different ways to do some fun stuff, especially when we're off. I know sometimes it's hard to support an essentially seasonal podcast, so we're trying to bridge that gap, get some year-round content for you all to say thanks, and we appreciate it.
That's right.
Yeah, and you think about it. I didn't really understand it when podcasting started until I started getting into it.
Yeah,
we're all doing this as a hobby. We all have jobs. We've all got lives outside of this podcast. Mm-hmm. And you don't realize how much time that somebody puts into it. And, each of us have different aspects that we do to make this podcast work. And that's, it helps balance things out time-wise. But we're all spending multiple hours every week getting ready to get this content out just for one show. So, $1 a month is not a whole lot, and we just thank everybody that gives, because it really, what it's doing is making sure you're going to continue getting content, because it keeps the website up to date and the hosting up to date and things like that. That's what you're doing. You're not paying us for our time. No. You're basically keeping the lights on so you can continue getting your podcast. So.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you're keeping my husband from killing me for footing the bill for hosting fees. I'm just kidding.
Yes, so there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. That was one of the perks also, just for fun, that we were going to do. I was going to, now that my podcast studio is pretty much 90% done, I was going to do a video tour explaining what everything is and really going through what the process of making a podcast is like and why it takes that amount of time. I know in one of our hangout sessions, that was a question that Dreamweaver gave us. She said, hey, what's it take? Can you tell me how you guys make a podcast? Because I want to know. And now she's off doing her own. So I was just going to do that for fun.
Market research at its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent points, everybody, all around. So there you go. That's our Patreon spiel for this week. Let's get into our general impressions of the show.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
All right, X-Force.
I gave this one 9.5 Bizarro revelations. I think the series came back with a bang. I love the fight scenes and all the revelations we got. I'm so intrigued by the connections between Bizarro and Kyle and Allie, and while I'm not happy with Kyle at all, it seems maybe Lana may have known, maybe. I am happy that we're addressing depression, mental health in productive ways, and so there was so much to like about this episode and so much to dig into. It's exciting when you come back from a break with an episode like this, and so I was really, really happy watching it and rewatching it, so ready to dig into it.
I totally agree. I gave this one a 9 distracting quinceañeras. I agree. Great episode. I did not expect all of our storylines to tie together in a neat little bow like they did this week. I really expected all of our villains and foils to have their own unique storylines that they would flesh out over this season. Maybe some would continue to next season. Maybe some of them still will. Who knows? But man, the writers did it again. Just when I thought I had all these different stories going, they brought it crashing all together. I have all these revelations this episode. It was great. I loved it. Now, the quinceañera storyline, I thought it was nice, but it did kind of be a little distracting for me. I don't often feel like these lighter storylines, which turned out to be not so light, are distracting. Sometimes I find them to be a nice break, but I just really wanted more about the shadow world, which I guess is not surprising from my perspective. So yeah, I did actually find it to be a little distracting when I got pulled back to those scenes.
Cool. Well, I think the way before the hiatus our Legends episode landed with all of us boo-booing on it, we're back on top with all of us, high-fiving this one, because I'm giving it a 9.5 thunderous punches. And I'm just going right with you guys. Wow, what a way to come back after the Olympics by landing a gold medal performance on all fronts for the show. I'm holding up my 9.5 scorecard right now. You said it, Harley. This episode was seamless. It was so well woven together. Everything just flowed so smoothly. There wasn't a jarring blip anywhere. And nothing bugged me either about where the stories were going. I mean, Bizarro got opened up a lot more than I ever thought we'd find out. Like a whole world of his own. Who would have guessed that? And Allie is somehow linked to it. I mean, it's crazy. How could... It's crazy. And then I was wondering, how could either of you not mention Jonathan's powers? At least what I think, anyway, because to me, that was a holy crap, knock me on my butt moment. The drugs did awaken his powers, is what I'm saying. Holy. And then even the Cushion storyline, I thought it was well put together, because I was a little worried. I think we all were a little worried where they might go with this, but, people were worried about Kyle falling back and being an idiot and cheating again, but as you said, Harley, last time we were on air, their marriage was in a real bad place back then, and he succumbed to his drinking and the advancements of the bartender, and now it's coming out. So it's a realistic story there that I don't mind seeing, and I'll talk a lot more about it when we get to our notes here, but this episode was just a stroke of near-perfect storytelling all the way around.
Yep. Very good.
Cool. Let's get into the episode then.
All right, we're kicking it off with the Clark Bizarro storyline, and we get some follow-up here because Superman talks with Tag about the fight with Bizarro, and he finds out that he gave the pendant to General Anderson. And so it was a good kind of follow-up and just check on Tag and see how he's doing.
Yeah, I actually liked the scene with Tag. I felt like it was important to show that Superman doesn't have any ill feelings for him. Not that we thought that he would, but he doesn't blame Tag for following protocol, because the first thing he does is he apologizes. He says, "I'm so sorry that I gave the pendant to General Anderson. I know that you needed that, but I had to follow my protocols." And so I have a feeling that after all of this, Superman is going to end up probably needing Tag in the future, especially with John Henry out of commission. So I thought it was important to kind of see that bond that they're starting to build, and maybe that mutual respect a little bit. So I thought this was an important scene, even though it maybe could have felt out of place. I thought it was well done.
Well, and that's the thing with this episode. Nothing felt out of place. It was just went perfectly smooth all the way, transitioning from scene to scene. And what this also makes do for Tag is it makes him relevant, and the writers aren't forgetting about him, because they could have easily have just left him off and we'd never see him again, and we'd all be wondering what happened. Yep. And what I think would be cool is if Jordan actually came to visit him. I don't know if he'd be allowed to visit him, but what if Jordan came to visit him so Tag's got that connection to the real, normal world again, knowing he's got a friend out there still? Because I think Jordan would be able to understand what he's going through. Whether we'll get that or not, I just think that would be really good for Tag, because it makes me wonder, did he get scooped up as soon as they found out he got powers? He got taken away to the school, and he's been under military surveillance and training. He's not been let out to see his family or see anything, because he seems lost to me, not sure what to do, and he's just following orders, but he just seems lost. And I'm also with you, Harley. Maybe Superman will coerce Tag to leave the military and maybe take him under his wing a little bit and kind of help him see things differently than what the military is showing him. I don't know. There's some cool possibilities with Tag.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
I mean, there's the rumor out there that he could shift over to John Diggle's new show and be one of his young heroes.
Yeah. That show, the Justice U, hasn't officially gotten a pickup yet. I think the Gotham Knights has.
Right.
But they have ordered a pilot for it, so yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
All right.
So Anderson is visibly shaken by the loss of his two soldiers. You can see that with like he's disheveled a little bit. He's got the beard going on, but he is still super stubborn, and he blames Kal-El for basically not giving him the full scoop, and he's not going to give Kal-El the pendant back. So I thought this was an interesting headbutting between the two of them, and to see just, you could tell Anderson was tore up, but you could also see the firmness of Kal-El, saying, listen, you should have understood and you should have called me in. So
yeah, this was another interesting scene here. Like, I'm glad that they kind of showed us this side of Anderson, that we got to see he's actually upset after losing the super kids. He kind of shows he has a teeny tiny bit of heart after all. Maybe. So definitely solidified him as Gray. Definitely our early Sam Lane. He's a good replacement. So it'll be interesting to see how he continues to evolve over the course of this season. But going back to this pendant, I'm extremely curious about the fact that we know that Bizarro now has the same pendant that Allie has. And we're not going to dig into this exactly right now, but some questions that kind of came up for me is, did he take his pendant from an Allie from his world? I mean, Chrissy kind of says the shadow world is all run by Allie and she's everywhere. So how did he acquire a pendant, and how does it work for him? I don't know. I've got so many questions. We're going to dig into that later.
Yeah.
I know. How could you bring that up here? I want to talk about that stuff now.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, of course, you're right, and you're both right. Like Anderson, it appears he cares a little bit, or does he? I wasn't sure. It looks like he does, but why would you send the kids out there in the first place if you cared? I'm just confused about him. But what I also don't get is why he thinks it's Superman's fault. It's not Superman's fault. It's the military's fault. You're the guys who forced the kids into this and rushed them into battle with hardly any training yet. It's your fault. It has nothing to do with poor Superman. That I just don't get. And now the pendant, the one point I'll add to it, it must be... The one thing I'm thinking about it here, and we'll come back around to it, but it might be a device that allows them to teleport from their world to here somehow. It's like a key to a gateway or something is what I'm kind of thinking. I don't know, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one other point I wanted to bring up, is that Anderson went from a lieutenant to a 3-star general. So, that's a huge rise, because he went from a lieutenant to a 3-star general, and I think it's a little too much too soon. And that's, I don't know if there's precedent on rising that fast. Normally I would expect him just to be like a 1-star general, not a 3-star. And so I just don't, maybe it's just too much too soon for him. I just don't know. Yeah. But maybe that's part of it too. I don't know.
Yeah, no, good point. He can't handle the pressure of the decisions he has to make yet. But as for his ranking increase, maybe there just was nobody else there, so they're like, okay, you're next in line. We got to bump you up, because there's nobody else here to take it.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like military advancement doesn't work that way, but
no.
Yeah, it's a TV show.
In the TV world, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the very cool battle between Kal-El and Bizarro, because this was so cool, because they were punch for punch even for the most part, and just seeing them going back and forth and just being that opposite of each other was just amazing, because there was no pendant this time to increase the energies or give one or pull them together. It was just the two opposites coming together, and it was filmed very well, and I loved everything about it.
Yeah, No, I agree. It was filmed very well. It was super cool. I absolutely loved it. And this just makes me wonder even more about the pendant. So I said we're not going to talk about it, but apparently we're just going to keep talking about it until we like really dig into the meat. So I'm just going to keep going for it.
Yeah.
Here are my thoughts on this particular scene. So it seemed to me like that pendant has been making him stronger for sure. And without it, I feel like he's not as strong. And he's also not interfering with Clark. When I say interfering, I'm thinking like physics-wise, like interferometer, you know, like think about the waves coming together. And so like Ann Anderson, he even brings this up in the scene we were just talking about, actually, about that energy field. And that's the whole reason he's refusing to give Clark the pendant, because he thinks, for whatever reason, that Clark just wants it to like power himself up. And he's like, no, I want it so that I can try and find Bizarro. And he's like, well, either way, I'm not giving it to you. And so I don't know. It's just like so interesting to me about this whole pendant. So like without it, Bizarro does seem less strong. I also noticed they weren't being psychically linked at all, minus pendant. So
Good point. Good point.
Yes.
lots of things to think about.
Lots of things. That pendant is a heavy story point for sure that we're going to keep talking about. But I'm going to talk about the fight first because that was awesome. You guys remember how I complained that Supergirl's choreographers, and I'm sorry, John and Justina, but they never knew how to choreograph a fight for Supergirl. It never looked like she was throwing a heavy punch ever. Her fights were so poorly done. This show here shows us exactly how you do that. Every single punch, every hit, and every move that they made had that explosive sonic wave type of vibe around it, and it shook the screen, it shook everything around them, and it amped up the power that was being displayed for us to see visually. Because I've always questioned if Superman, he's not going to hold back when he's fighting a villain, especially one of equal caliber. So when he punches something, it should be visually shown what type of power is behind that punch. This is Superman. So make us see it, make us understand it. And this show, I think they pulled it off. I mean, these guys were toe-to-toe, countering each other. And every once in a while, one of them got one in that would send the other flying back. Like I just said, this is Superman. Every single hit should be felt. It should be shown how powerful it is. And I think the choreography team, the special effects team, everybody did such an amazing job this time around to give us that effect. And it was boom, boom, boom. Like, holy crap, these guys are really going at it. Now, for the pendant, that is still a good mystery. And we see the effects of it being there. And now we see what happens when it's not there. So, other than it being a gateway key, it's also somehow a magnet between them, like we talked about before. It seemed to pull them together, and it psychically linked them. So without it being there, you guys are right. They were missing that. And I'm wondering if that could be a clone thing or a doppelganger thing. Like, does the pendant from that world know Bizarro? And then when it's near Clark, it somehow thinks that Clark is Bizarro, you know, through genetics or some weird connection. And maybe it thinks, like, they got split into two and it's trying to bring them back together, merge them again. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming here what's going on. But it is so dang interesting that this single little item has become such a huge plot point that we are trying to figure out. And that's what's part of why this episode was so good. And why the show has been so good, because they've got that mystery. They're just dangling it like a carrot on a stick. Like, oh, you want to know? You want to know? Huh? You know, here's a little bit more. No.
Keep watching.
Exactly. So it's good. These writers have... Yes, I complained about season 2, the first 2 episodes or so, but now it's found its groove, and it's really taken off and running with their story, and I'm happy again.
Yeah. They brought it all together.
Yeah. And the interesting part in the fight, once Kal-El realizes that they are opposites, something clicks and he flies to the mine and uses the XK to help knock Bizarro out, because he knows it amps up supers on his world, so it would do the opposite to Bizarro. So I thought this was a very interesting point. And, you know, it's just kind of cool to see him take up those crystals and start beating with them.
Beating, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool when he came to that realization. I mean, it definitely... Was it when he used the cold breath or after heat breath and then cold eyes?
Yep.
finally figured it out.
Yeah.
But I guess one thing that about all of this, I wasn't really thinking like XK was necessarily the opposite of kryptonite exactly. So, I mean, I'll take it. I mean, I guess X kryptonite. So I guess maybe that's what they were going for with the naming or the lore. I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about it that way. But, I mean, they clearly are. And they don't necessarily like... Oh, no. Sorry. I'm like totally misunderstanding my notes right here. Bizarro and Cal are definitely opposites. That is very clear. We've known that for quite a while. But... yeah, again, they're not feeding off each other unless that pendant is there, and that's what's weird to me. I was thinking if they were from like two different universes and their energy signals was what was interfering with one another, it wouldn't matter if the pendant was there or not. So I'm like, what is the deal with the pendant? Again, it's a theme.
Hence my whole splitting personality. Like we just don't know. Yeah. But that moment you brought up, X-Force, I love that moment when Clark realizes what's going on, that Bizarro is his opposite. Because Bizarro was throwing everything at him, the heat breath, the freezing eye blasts, and Clark, had that eye-opening moment, and now he knows what to do. And it was just so dang cool to see Bizarro using everything he's got to try to beat Superman. And, I mean, opposite. It was just so cool to see. But, yeah, why not have XK be opposite to him? I mean, why not? It's a cool idea, but was it really opposite? This is where my question comes in, and maybe where you're a little confused, Charlie, because we know that XK here on this Earth gives people power. So if it's opposite and it's from Bizarro's world, wouldn't it then weaken Bizarro? That's what you're saying, right? So for Clark to pick it up and punch him with it, it should weaken him a little bit, I thought, but... that's where I'm confused. But where I'm not confused is this X-Kryptonite gives people powers. So maybe it also gives Clark an extra boost, too.
Could be both.
Because he's here.
Could be
because
both.
it doesn't hurt him to be around it. The XK doesn't affect him at all.
No.
So the fact that he picked that, because he knew him and Bizarro are toe-to-toe exactly the same. He's not winning this fight. But when he picked up that XK and started punching him, that gave him the upper hand. So I thought... maybe it's enhancing Clark's abilities a little bit as well. Yeah. I don't know. That was my kind of thoughts. I wavered. Like, is it weakening Bizarro and strengthening Clark, and that's why he got the upper hand? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of took it how they laid it out. Yeah. Like, if someone did that with Kryptonite to Clark, it would weaken him. So I just kind of assumed that X-Kryptonite is, Bizarro's Kryptonite. Even though, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So Kal-El takes him to the new fortress where his mom runs tests on him, and we find out that he's the opposite, but more. He is Kal-El from a different Earth.
Whoa.
And she is able, I don't know if she's like permanently translated him or it's that field that he's in that's translating, but now we can understand what Bizarro is saying. It's not backwards anymore.
I still don't love the Desert Fortress, so I'm not going to lie. But I do really love that we get to have Lara. That has made me very happy, so I'm very happy to see that she is continued to be brought into the storylines and continued to be made relevant. Also, it's a plus to be able to understand Bizarro without having to read subtitles.
Well, yeah, and on that point, I think the only part that they did poorly in this episode is when Bizarro was speaking his normal language. It was so quiet, I couldn't audibly even know what he was saying, even to try to go, is that the sentence backwards? Like, it was so audibly low, you couldn't even hear him hardly. The audio was not good for that. But when he starts speaking English, loud and clear, no problem. I don't mind the Desert Fortress so much, just because, again, it's opposite of the Frozen Fortress, right? Everything is opposites here, so I don't mind the play on that. And I'm kind of sure Clark's going to eventually rebuild his iconic Ice Fortress someday. I don't know. I'm going to call my shot here, so mark my words on it. I feel like he's going to build it again. It's iconic. They have to have it. But Lara is connected to this Desert Fortress, so they have to use it. But I'm wondering, can he not just take her crystal and move her wherever he wants? Does she have to stay there?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as he has the crystal.
Yeah. So so if he rebuilds the ice fortress, he can move her then, and then the desert one shuts down. I don't know, but there seems to be a lot of tech hiding in the walls there, because where is she getting these beams to, trap them and translate them and heal them and fix them? It seems like there's tech in the walls, maybe.
It's part of the fortress that was built around her crystal, I guess. Okay. And the other crystals, so.
Yeah.
But I really like her as well. She is a very cool character. They casted her really well. She's got this motherly presence to her that I just want to talk to. Like, hey, Mom, I want to talk to her too. And it's nice for Clark to have that loving parent still, because he's got none left. So he has that parental figure in his life now, so he can go. Because it doesn't matter how old you get, you still need your mom, right? So now he's got his real mom. And for Bizarro, what is it that she did to understand him? Is it the ray things that's coming down on him? Is there just a translator in the room somewhere? Or did she do something to Bizarro to allow him to speak the right side? Or did she do whatever, heal him, fix his vocal cords? I don't know, to allow him to speak normally. That's what I'm wondering. So whether we'll get that answer or not, probably, I doubt it, but I was just curious. Well, how did she do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was assuming the force field, but it's not clear.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, to me that force field is not only keeping him trapped in place so he can't escape, but it's also the examination ray to learn about him, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, that's true.
Maybe it does everything. Maybe it's a one ray does all.
Advanced technology. Looks like magic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where's that clip, X-Force? Explain nothing!
Well, we get the revelation that he is there to protect his world and this one because a war is coming. And he's there to kill Allie to prevent it. And this was just like the huge kind of revelation.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Exactly. It brings me back to the question that one of you was asking at the beginning of this season. Is she really Parasite? They've name dropped quite a few things. Is this going to be their take on Parasite? We got a different take on Morgan Edge. So is this a different take on a Parasite? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe they were hiding her in plain sight and fooling us with the Doomsday name drop, thinking, we're not going to fall for that again. And then say, haha, but we did get you. Because look, it is Parasite this time. Just when we hooked you with the Doomsday and then let you down, now we're going to flip that on you, and here's Parasite. So, because, it surely makes sense with what she's doing. She's making everyone sick in their mind with her ideas, and she's ruining worlds with them. She's ruined Bizarro's world, and apparently she's in control of it now. So maybe this is a new take on the idea of Parasite, that she creates this cult and she gets everybody following and believing her, and she becomes the ruler. And that's parasitic. You get everyone to buy into your thoughts. That's a form of being parasitic. Maybe it works. All it's done for me is it suddenly made her so interesting, because I didn't like the whole cult leader, save Lois' sister. It didn't work in the beginning, but now that they've developed it, I was like, whoa, okay. She's from another world. She controls another world through that. Now her story just got exploded, and she's creepy as hell and super interesting now. But Bizarro trying to protect both worlds, that to me is a massive reveal of information. He came here to save our world by killing Allie. Okay, that's cool, but then why is he fighting Superman all the time? Why don't they work together? It doesn't make sense. You want to kill Allie, you want to save this Earth, then why kill its only hero that could save its Earth? So I'm a little confused there. Maybe Bizarro is just all backwards. He doesn't know what he's doing. But I'm wondering if maybe now that this was revealed and Mama Lara helped them, maybe Bizarro and Superman are going to work together now, which is a completely different twist on the Bizarro story. That's crazy and cool and different. Will Lara somehow help him stay more stable and calm now? Did she fix him? Did she help him heal? I don't know. What is this war about? War with who? War with what? This episode was just so darn good. They presented these ideas as what is going on? What war? Who are we fighting? Who is coming to attack Earth? It's crazy.
So I want to throw out a theory, and I'm just going to scroll down here in the notes and make sure this is not in somebody else's notes.
Throw it out if it's a note.
I don't think
we'll
it
tell
is. So my theory is that he was basically sent here to get him out of Allie in that world's way.
Oh.
Like, she wanted him out of the way, and she used that pendant to transport him here, and he's in the midst of the mine and wrapped up in the suit and all that kind of stuff. And so my theory is, like, that Allie was like, okay, I'm going to get rid of my only real threat and flip it over. And so that's my thought, that he got flipped over and he was still wearing that pendant, so he may have been kind of confused and kind of taken in, like we've seen with Allie's cult members after they go through this process. So maybe that was throwing him somewhat off, and that's why he was fighting Clark at first. But I don't know. That's just my kind of working theory.
I think that will come back around when Harley's got a couple points about that mind and who was in charge of it. So I think we'll come back to that and add to that. Yeah.
Yep.
Are we? Because I was about to add to it now, so maybe I'll just not. And apparently I'm going to do that later.
What X-Force just said has me question one of the points that you have later, so that it'll tie in. I'll bring it in when it shows up.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, we've been talking about Allie, but let's talk about Lois, Chrissy, and Allie. Let's jump into that, because that's the other big storyline. So we see a flashback to 1979 in Metropolis, and we see that the pendant, like Bizarro's, has been in Allie's family for generations. And her dad's work on it cost him his life. And we see this young Allie being presented, okay, you can get the inheritance, but you gotta follow up on the work. And she's, I don't know, what do you think, Jess? 10, 12, somewhere in there?
If
Not
that,
much more than that, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe even as young as 8.
Yeah, I could see 8, and that would put her, older than me in 79. So, but anyway, so you've had this kind of thing where we're thinking at first, okay, well, it's this pendant is from the other side, and it came through the same time as Bizarro. Nope, it's been in their family for generations. So interesting stuff going on here.
That throws a wrench into all of our theories, because now you got a time thing here.
That's true. That's a good point. And okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this out there, because doesn't this look an awful lot like the Black Diamond? We spent a lot of time on Stargirl with the Black Diamond. So I'm just saying, is this Superman and Lois's version of it?
And we know what the Black Diamond did. It corrupted people's minds to do bad things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's the link to the shadow world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've very clearly established on Stargirl, and they've kind of already established here that Bizarro's from a shadow world. So
is there more than one?
It's got to be the Black Diamond, right? I mean, this pendant is the Black Diamond. Are we going with it? I'm going with it.
Does that mean there's more than one Black Diamond? And again, it comes back to my point: this is the gateway, the key to the gateway to the shadow world? All these diamonds.
Yeah.
I mean, the Black Diamond was a prison to keep him in, and so maybe it's keeping the energy needed to travel between dimensions. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But then the confusing thing is we have to remember that in the beginning, Faulkner, I don't know if this is in my notes later. I'm just going to say it now before I forget it.
You've got Faulkner later. That was my point.
I know I have her later, but I don't think I have this point where they were bringing... I'm not going to talk about what happens to her quite yet. We'll get to that. But in the beginning of the season, her and Allie, who I thought was Anderson, I thought she was working with Anderson to bring Doomsday over, but we now know that she was working with Allie. So they brought Bizarro here on purpose, which now just that I remember that, like, very much confuses me.
Well, did they bring Bizarro here on purpose, or were they looking for the pendant and they found Bizarro? Because
I don't know.
I don't think they expected Bizarro. I think they expected a power source.
Well,
okay.
You remember, though,
they were...
Dr. Faulkner, she was on the phone and she says, he's here, we found him, he's good, he's okay. Like, she confirmed that that's who they were looking for.
I remember her saying, it's here and it's more powerful than we thought. I don't remember him talking about him, but that may be just my memory.
Well,
I don't know.
Even that line, though, that line doesn't ring true, because they know what the pendant is. Allie obviously knows what it is. She understands it. So for Faulkner to say, oh, it's more powerful than we thought, that to me is talking about Bizarro, which when at that point in time we were all thinking, it's Doomsday. They're growing Doomsday. He's going to come out. And yet so this is where it gets so confusing, and I'll just say that point now, that if Allie was trying to get rid of Bizarro and she sent him here, then why is she now here looking for him, and why are they excited? Oh, he's here, he's more powerful. Yay, and let's dig him out, let's free him. All these things are not jiving now. There's something, there's a link or a bit of information we're missing as to why Bizarro's here, who sent him here, or did he come here on his own, why has he got the pendant, and why were they digging him up? Because that was what the whole mining operation was. They were digging him up to get at him, and he's trying to punch his way out. So they're like trying to meet in the middle. Okay, why? Why is Allie and Faulkner looking for him? Just to kill him and steal the pendant? Or were they thinking they could use him as a weapon? That's why they sent him here. I don't know. It's just like,
There's definitely more that's coming, which is good because we're only on episode 5.
Yes, exactly. But young Allie, the point I want to say about her, she was even creepy back then as a kid, because she was sitting there in the chair looking like all evil and like, I'm going to get the pendant. Like, she had it already back then. I was like, what is going on here? And it's clear to me that her dad had already manipulated her young mind to follow in his tracks, that she was not going to say no to anybody. She wasn't going to listen to me. I'm taking the pendant and I'm continuing your work, and then I'm going to get my money too. I want the inheritance. So
right. And yeah, I was questioning the guy that was with her. I knew it was family, but IMDb calls him Uncle David. So that was, her uncle, and so her father's brother. So once again, a brother who is trying to break a generational curse or something like that, and not getting listened to. Yeah. So.
And this is super random, but what was the deal with the peppermint?
I don't know. That was
weird.
Yeah, she throws it in the glass. Like, what is that, her answer?
She spit it into a glass vase.
Yeah.
Like, he gives her the peppermint, she puts it in her mouth, chews it, and then she makes her, before she, she doesn't even say anything. She never says anything. Like, her making the decision is she spits the peppermint in the vase and sets it down and just looks at the dude and says, yes, I will do this. This is...
So she's rejecting the sweet and going with, I don't know, but it was just a weird direction choice, or I don't get it.
So it basically ties it right back to the pendant. The pendant is the big mystery of this season right now. It's the major point of the big mystery. But like I said, throwing a wrench in our theories here, the pendant's been here on our Earth for a couple generations. So that's strange. If Allie's had it this whole time, so if we're thinking she's from that other world, it does make sense. She didn't come here. She's grown up here. She's from Earth Prime. But she understood the powers of the pendant and was able to go to Bizarro's world and take over by manipulating everybody to be in her cult. And now she controls that world. So now she's trying to do that
No.
here. I don't know. Again,
No, I think there are two
Oh,
alleys.
you think there's two alleys?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's the one that's over there.
Yep.
And then the one that's over here. And my thinking is the one that's over there is a bit ahead, and they're helping each other out, getting caught up. Maybe that alley's dad was more in and got stuff working a little. I think they're working together. Is my thought.
Okay.
But there's definitely two.
I'm with you. I'm tracking two alleys as well.
So maybe when she's drugging people and having them have their crossover, they're meeting Allie on that side along with their doppelganger selves, and they're coming back going, whoa, and that's what's sucking them in.
And probably for most of them, it may be that their Allie knows so much because that Allie has already recruited their doppelganger over there and maybe knows some stuff, or the fact that maybe their doppelgangers over there are living a better life than the ones here, and they kind of see, oh, I could be living that life, if I go. I don't know. There's lots of questions on, because we you question why would people follow her if they saw just bleakness and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good points. Good thoughts. Yep.
Chrissy does get crossed over, and it seems like she was almost dead. I mean, the guy was talking about bringing out the paddles to jumpstart her heart, and before she comes back. And I was really scared that when she came back, she was going to be all in Allie's court. But this was just, it was wild just to see her drugged and taken over, and the implications there.
Yes. And okay, so I absolutely love the whole twist with the fact that the ascension is real, like everything that Allie spouts, like she 100% believes it. So I mean, like I think they just set it up perfectly. So I mean, Allie, yes, she is essentially a cult leader. She's got some super out there beliefs. She's amassing a following, and she's doing it, we originally believe, through manipulation and deception. And maybe she's still doing that, like, to a certain extent, but she exhibits very classic narcissistic traits. She is like a typical cult leader. She just has that look, that feel, that charisma, that just ability to bring people in, to win people over, to have them believe in something that they have no proof of, although we see that she can give that proof. She gives it to Chrissy. Like, she chooses select people to ascend, and she makes that happen. She basically kills them. They cross over, they see what they see, they put on the pendant, and it brings them back. So I thought that was very fascinating, a very fascinating twist, and a great way to kind of like bring it all together. It ties in all the storylines. I loved it.
The whole inversion method.
Yes.
She's instead of converting, she's inverting them to the other world and back. It's like, okay,
because it's the opposite. Yep.
Man. But
so good.
It doesn't work here for Chrissy. Like, I was right. I called my shot that Allie was gonna, Chrissy was gonna come back to Lois with all the info that she found out, and realize that Allie is a total nut job. But something did happen to her. She saw things on the other side. Where did she go? What does the drug and pendant do to these people, really? And if it's so powerful and Allie's able to take over an entire world and have this whole thing, then why didn't it work on Chrissy? Why did Chrissy come back and go, oh man, she's nuts, I better go tell Lois, and give Lois all the information? Like, so I'm wondering what happened. Why didn't it work on Chrissy? And yay for Chrissy, because I didn't want her to go against Lois. Like, yay, they're finally going to team up and work together now.
I think it didn't work on Chrissy because she was not bought into Allie's vision. She wasn't a typical cult leader. She was just trying to understand like what was going on with Lois. She was trying to see like both sides of the story and to see if there was any truth to it. And I think Allie knew that. And so I think she was hoping by showing her the truth and showing her that everything is real, that it would keep Chrissy in Allie's court and maybe have her keep doubting Lois. I think fortunately that's potentially backfired a little bit. I think they're both now on the same page because what Chrissy doesn't know, and I'll get into this a little bit later for sure, is that she knows all about Superman and all about Bizarro and all about his connection to the shadow world. So she's starting to figure out that everything Allie is spouting, wacko as it sounds, is actually true. And then Chrissy's coming at it from the other angle. Like, she's actually experienced it because she went behind Lois's back. And, you know, they just are really, like, bringing all that together really well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yep.
I don't know if I was going somewhere else with that, but I stopped there.
Yeah. So, Lois, you know, she's digging into stuff and she's looking at her old videos and she sees Dr. Faulkner in one of those Alley videos. And so she heads over to the mines to kind of confront her. And here we are. We've got Bizarro, who apparently has killed Dr. Faulkner, but doesn't attack Lois and flies off. So this was an interesting twist here.
It was an interesting twist, and it was a seriously creepy twist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to throw out kudos to everybody. The actor, the production, the editing. I don't know how they pulled that off, but that was an extremely off-putting angle, and they kept showing it. And I was just like, I mean, I literally cringed every time I saw it. Like, I don't know what it was about it. It just was just so unnatural. I was like, no amount of gore could have made it worse than the way that they showed her laid out like that. Like, it was insane.
Well, her head was twisted right around. It was humanly can't.
It's like exorcism creepy. I was like, oh,
so
stop.
Bizarro obviously with his super strength. You're right though. Like, yikes, holy.
Or did he though? Did he kill her?
What's that?
Do we really think he killed her? We just see him standing over the body.
I think Bizarro is killing anyone connected to Allie while he's trying to find her. That's what I think.
Oh.
So the question here is, if Allie was in charge of work of the mine to find Bizarro, why would she? Like I said, knowing he's not on her side and he's going to try to kill her, that's where I'm disconnected. Why would she be digging him up if she knows he's going to come after her? That's, again, to what I was saying before. And then, I mean, the reveal of Faulkner being with Allie, that was a bit of a reveal, and like you were saying, that's where you noticed it in the old video there. I wonder how many other people are in that room that we already know as characters, as minor side characters, that are also under Allie's, control.
Yeah, I mean, that video was several years old, so, I mean, she's amassed people along the way, and they're in positions of power now. Yeah, it's going to be wild to see.
Yeah, the fallout, see how far she really reaches. That'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, later at the party, Chrissy fills Lois in, and about this whole different reality and how everything is under Allie's charge and they've got to stop her. And so I was really happy to hear that she wasn't like under Allie's spell. And so I was glad that they're kind of making a plan to start working together.
Yeah, totally with you. I kind of said a little bit about that already, but this is where I'm going to bring this up because we keep saying it. When is Chrissy going to find out the truth about Superman? So like I said, she's coming from one angle and Lois is coming from the other, and they now all both know the same things, but they know them from different sources. So I mean, she's very dangerously close to the truth without knowing it, and I really think they're going to need to like confide in her for her own safety, if nothing else. She literally died this episode. So, I mean, I'm just saying, they need to debrief the poor girl.
Plus, I think if they confide in her, it'll help her understand all the stuff about Lois that she's angry about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll fix all of the problems.
Yeah.
So then they won't.
Well, exactly. It'll fix all the problems.
We're on the CW and we're watching a
Exactly.
TV show. So that would be too easy.
You can't get rid of the drama. You just got to make more.
Yeah. And I was on Chrissy's side this time around. Lois is trying to be mad at her for keeping secrets, and it's like, Lois, look who's talking. And so I'm glad Chrissy threw that in her face, but what bugged me is that it didn't seem to bother Lois. It's like she doesn't care that her cover-ups have hurt others as long as her family is safe. Because Chrissy's blasting her for it, and Lois is just like, all right. Like she didn't try to counter it. She didn't try to apologize. She didn't say, hey, yeah, you're right. She just let it go. And I thought, It doesn't. It seems like Lois doesn't. At the bottom line, as long as it protects her family, it's not going to matter what she does. That's where she's at. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Like, it's very weird. I mean, like, it is, but it isn't. Like, it's weird. I feel like that she's kind of developed this friendship and closeness with Chrissy. I mean, they're business partners, but I feel like they're more than that, you know? But I feel like this should have maybe bothered her more than she seems, at least appears to be bothered by it. Mm-hmm. But I do kind of agree that she is of the opinion, as long as her family is safe and as long as, like, Clark's secret is safe, then that's kind of like her line. Like, you know what I mean? She's going to do anything to keep her family safe and to keep that secret.
Right, and she's still tied up with how she feels about her sister too. So like it's a vendetta. Going after Allie is a vendetta because of her sister, and that may be blinding her to seeing the relationship with Chrissy is off. So. Yeah,
and that's true. Like, I mean, this whole thing with Allie and the cult. I mean, we've kind of agreed, that, like, she has to be stopped. I think everybody has agreed on that. Like, Chrissy's in agreement. Like, Lois is in agreement. Everybody's like, Allie's got to be stopped, right? She's clearly got other motivations, Allie. I mean, when I say she, for attracting people to her cult. And that's what I'm now kind of curious about. Like, why is she developing it into a cult? Like, why is she amassing this following? And she has seemed overly, in my opinion, interested in Lucy. Is she doing it simply to get to Lois? Was it just this perfect storm that Lois took an interest and kind of like blasted her, and so now she's like out to get her? Or has she figured out this whole connection with Lois and Superman and Lucy? I feel like there's a little bit more there that might come out.
Well, it asks, like you said, what is Allie building up? Why is she doing all of this? I mean, is she truly acting like a parasite, and all she knows is to search and destroy all living beings, and that's all she's after, just death, 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 and she's at the height of it? Because I don't know. They've developed the 5 episodes in. They figured out the path for the season, and it's really fascinating.
It is.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, is the Allie on that other world doing the same thing? Is she sending people over here? Is like, you just love it because there's so many questions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so much to speculate.
As long as we get answers.
Yeah.
Don't pull a Lost on us. As much as we all love Lost, we want all the answers.
Oh, I know.
All right. Well, let's jump into some of the other stuff that went on in this episode. So we've got Sam arriving to train Jordan, and it's rough with the sparring, and that's so that the training is not really going too well.
No, I was surprised he ended up pulling John in, but I guess the poor kid kind of like needs something to do to stay relevant as a character. Like, I kind of feel bad saying that, but that's really how it feels these days, is that like they're just kind of keeping him relevant with like really random storylines or like pulling him into Jordan's story. So I don't know, this was kind of an odd story point for me.
The part that I found weird was that Sam has him doing push-ups and different exercises. I mean, That's just that's not training. That's not training for war. But I guess Sam is just trying to see how far he can go. He's testing Jordan's limits, is what that ended up was supposed to be about. So
I think so.
Yeah. But on the other side of things, we see Jordan being there for Sarah, and I really liked their conversation on
porch,
the porch. Yeah, but I didn't pick it as my favorite scene. So, but I really appreciated it because she gives him some really good advice about his brother and pushing through to be there for his brother, and just once again addressing mental health and them talking about those things openly and just being there for each other. So I really enjoyed their honesty there and their talking things out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I find it really awkward watching him flirt with her though, because he's just so awful at it. It makes me icky. I'm like, oh my gosh, how does any of this work? Like, you were really bad at your flirting.
They're young. They're 15.
Yeah, but
So
it's the character and it's the actor. I just find him a little bit off in some of those moments.
He's also young.
yeah,
True, but
He's not much older than what he's playing.
yeah. So, but it's good to see him there to support Sarah, and it looks like he's keeping the secret. I mean, Flash, you bring up the point. Did she tell him
I can't remember
everything?
if she told him everything about their past or what happened or everything. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He definitely overheard and saw the same thing that she did with Kyle and
he probably heard
the
it more
bartender.
clearly too.
That's true.
Yeah, true. And I don't know if she came back and told him what was said between the mom and dad. I don't know, but he may have heard that too. And she may have texted it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah. But let's talk about Jonathan, because John is really jealous of the attention that Jordan's getting from Sam, and it's pushing him over the edge,
To say the least. I think John is still struggling. He's struggling to see like everyone kind of rallying around Jordan to help him with his new powers. And I don't think it's necessarily because he's like, he's jealous, yes, of like maybe all the attention, but I feel like he more so maybe just feels like left out. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily like a jealousy thing. Well, maybe it is. Because he, doesn't have superpowers. He's not getting special attention. And I'm kind of talking myself back into it. I mean, he definitely feels left out 100%.
Well, yeah, and we did talk about this before, that we knew this might happen because he was used to being the golden child, the big athlete, the superstar of the family. And the focus was on his heroics and things that he could do. And now that's all gone. So it doesn't matter how good the relationship is, your brothers, your siblings, and there's going to be battles between the two of you. And he is struggling with his brother now getting all the focus when that used to be him. I mean, he's benched on the football team all the time. He's just getting hit from all angles that he's not the star anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it.
And that just pushes him to take the XK to kind of say, okay, I can still hold my own. I can still be worthy of some of that attention. And he bests Jordan in the sparring because he's got the athletic talent now combined with the XK, amped up powers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no question. If they're actually evenly matched, like John's the better athlete, hands down. I think he just needed to prove it to himself.
Yep. Well, you're right. The XK put them on equal ground, but John's athletic ability makes him the better quote-unquote soldier. And I think it surprised Sam to see Jordan get beat by what he only knows is a regular kid. I think that kind of surprised Sam. So I think John also wanted to show Sam to not forget that he used to be the golden child. Look at me, because he's like, maybe you're training the wrong kid. That's what he says as he walks out of the barn. He wanted to prove to his grandpa, like, I'm the guy that used to be the focus, and I'm the guy that knows how to fight. I'm the guy that can play the sports. Like, train me instead. And I think he's not only proving himself, he's trying to prove to Sam too, like, hey, don't forget.
Yeah. True. True.
And then beating his superpowered brother, I think, was a shock to Sam. Like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So Jordan confronts him at the end of the night, and John's emotions are riled up, and his eyes light up. And so now he has to he's going to have to keep taking XK to keep Jordan thinking he has powers until maybe something happens. But I think this is going to push him down that addict road that he needs to take it to convince his brother.
Yeah, I think that's definitely where they're going to start. And I'm still of the opinion that the XK could affect his physiology. I mean, it's got to give him powers, right? I mean, he's still half Kryptonian, so I feel like there's got to be something there. Otherwise, the storyline is just so random and completely manufactured literally to keep him relevant and on the show.
Yeah.
See, and it's interesting you say that, X-Force, because this was my wow moment of the episode. I did not think at all he was still on XK that later in the day. To me, I was like, his powers have just awoken. Whoa! Because we had speculated this all first season. Is he going to get powers? And to me, this scene was long after he took his hit of XK, and we know it doesn't last that long. It only lasts for a little while, because that was like hours later in the evening. So did he take another hit? I don't know. To me, it was John's powers have been awoken. Now they're there, and we get to see where they're going to take this, because there's a chance, and I could be wrong, but we've been wondering, like I said, it's the whole season, and will John get their powers? Will they have one son with him, one son without him? Will both of them get them? Will one be good, will one be bad? Like, we speculated all of that in previous episodes. So, to me, he has them now, and is this the story, like you're saying, Harley, to keep him relevant? Now we get to see the battle for Jonathan. Does he stay good? Does he swing to the dark side? Star Wars. Do him and Jordan become the super twins and help their dad in the fight? Because we all know that Superman there's Superboy. Everyone knows Superboy, and there's that story. There's the Clark having a son version, and then there's the clone version, whatever it is we have in the Young Justice cartoon, right? So we know the TV show does not like to follow all of the known facts so they can be different. So maybe this is the TV show's take. We're gonna give Superman 2 superpowered kids. We're gonna have 2 Superboys, hence the super twin moniker I gave them. And what are the possibilities of that? I mean, there's so many. It could be good versus evil. One goes bad, one stays good. Both of them fight. We got a super family now, because we know DC loves its super families. Flash, Batman, Shazam, Superman, every member of the family's got powers. DC loves doing that, so maybe they're bringing that into the TV show now. We're going to have a super proud family, and poor Lois is going to be like, what about me? I don't know. To me, its possibilities are wide open. I just think seeing his eyes, because he was emotionally charged in that moment with Jordan. They were getting into an argument, and his eyes lit up. It surprised Jordan, but it also surprised Jonathan. You saw him go like, whoa, shook his head like, what was that? I never felt that before. And he says, my powers, they started showing up a couple days ago. I think he's been taking XK for a lot longer than a couple days ago, the last couple weeks of football games and stuff. And now, all of a sudden, the powers for him have started showing up. This is the first visual reference we've gotten of that, and him admitting to it. Yeah, it started a couple days ago, Jordan, but keep it quiet. I don't want Dad to know just yet. So, I don't know. That's the side I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's some possibly spoilerly photos
I'm
out
not
there.
looking. I haven't looked.
Yeah, but
there's been. Then don't look too hard in our Facebook group either.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because that's where I saw it.
They're there. Yeah,
I wasn't looking for it, but it found me.
Anyway. Yeah, but so we'll see how that plays out, because
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's close out with talking about the Cushing family, and so I thought this was interesting. So the quinceañera is going to happen at the Kent's barn, and I thought that was the way they're kind of drawing the families together there. And Kyle is just so excited. I mean, you just see the excitement there. He's thrown everything in there. And just Sarah's just going all in just to try to please her dad. And so I thought these scenes were really touching.
I did too, especially the early scenes. I mean, it was a really nice moment to celebrate their heritage, to bring the family closer together. It's really just too bad they only did it to set up breaking them apart in the second half of the episode. But that's, hence the distracting part of my rating. But
yeah,
the early moments were very nice.
See, I thought it was a nice opening moments for them. It wasn't gagging me at all, and the ladies all looked amazing. I didn't mind the Cushing story this time. I thought it was nice. It wasn't overdone with like enough of this mush. It just felt nice. I mean, they needed a nice moment, and it was cool.
Yeah, and it was really cool because we find out that the family changed their name from Cortez to Cushing's to try to fit in, and now that it seems like they're going back to it. And I really appreciate that. It really speaks to a lot about the heritage of the Hispanic, the Latinx in America that has struggled so hard, and the anglicizing of names and just here they are bringing in this tradition that's so important, and then the move back, changing the names. I really appreciated that they're once again showing the plight of people and what people are going through in a way that feels authentic and not forced.
Yeah. No, I thought it was another nice commentary on society today and how things have kind of changed for the better. And they didn't bang us over the head with it. So I liked the way that it was done. And I kind of like that they knew what their name was and that they actually could change it back. Like, this actually happened in my family. Like, supposedly my dad's family, they're Italian, and when they came over, they did the same thing. They changed their name, but no one in my family really knows what the original name was, or honestly, if it was even really changed. So this one kind of like struck home for me a little bit, coming from Italian immigrants myself. So.
I never pegged you for Italian. That's the first I've ever heard of that.
I have my dad's full-blooded Italian.
No wonder the Harley moniker and the temper.
I'm Italian, and mostly Italian, German, and a smattering of Irish is mixed in.
Oh boy,
so
them's fighting families.
Welcome.
Well, I'm with you guys. Just great social commentary without slamming it down our throats. Plus, add in that they still live in a small town society too, and things are always slower to evolve in a small farming community, especially. Like the ideas and the progressiveness of the big cities doesn't get to the small towns as quickly. So they're also dealing with that, and it's interesting that we're seeing them write that into this, Smallville, and let's see how the town reacts to that. And there's a Mexican family here. What? It'll be interesting to see if that storyline carries forward. But like you were saying, Harley, even my last name, Donison, it lost letters too. It's Romanian descent, and all I know is there used to be more letters on the end of it. Donison, I have no idea. Nobody knows. It's so many generations back. But yeah, people did it. And as far as I know, it was done to my name to make it easier to write on the ship's manifest when the first Donison came over. So
yeah, I have a feeling that's what happened to my family as well. Yeah. It was spoken and they couldn't understand it, and either they truncated it or someone did. Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting to research. I recently went down a rabbit hole with Ancestry and started digging up some of these things myself.
Cool.
And
I want to do that too. I want to find out more because I have no family left to teach me, so I got to look into it myself.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got like my parents, but that's it. Everybody else is gone. Anyways,
back to the show.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all throughout this episode, Kyle is getting texts from Tanya, and it all comes to a head at the party. and we find out that after he went to the bar to kind of look into how the information was gathered, she had told a friend about him and the whole situation, and that friend possibly told the mayor. And so we kind of get that whole revelation there. And so this was very challenging. I'm glad that, he actually laid down the law, but, how long this has been going on, I don't know. It's challenging.
It is. And I mean, look, we all knew it was coming, so I'm just happy that it's all out in the open. They're not going to drag it out. I mean, we knew that the mayor clearly knew. Like, Dean knew. He kind of threw it in Kyle's face in the last episode.
Yeah.
And so it's all kind of coming together. At least now it's kind of all out in the open, so it's not going to drag on and fester on. So I like that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I mean, this bar girl, she's a love-struck fling that can't let go, and that's what causes this situation. But I like that Kyle didn't fall back to her. He's done everything he can to make it right, be there for his family, except come forward with the truth to Lana. But like you just said, Harley, Lana knew of her, and she was quick to make the guess who it was he may have been with. So she must have known he was spending time at the bar and had a friend there that he was confiding in during their marital struggles. I just don't think she knew that he went that far with it.
Yeah.
And as we said earlier, Jordan and Sarah see the confrontation there, and so they were party to that.
Yeah, which is like awkward, but kind of like in a weird way. I'm glad they overheard it instead of Dean telling them. I mean, like, honestly, both are cliche, but this felt a little less so because we have that mayoral campaign storyline going on. So I liked this cliche as opposed to like the, not corrupt, but the not abstaining current mayors trying to get a leg up on the better candidate, like that whole thing. I'm glad they didn't go that route.
I'm fine with it all, really, because this stuff happens every single day in the real world, in our lives. This happens. It's an issue that so many families have to deal with, and even more so now because of social media and computers. That makes it way too easy to hide your other life and to keep secrets, because you can open accounts under false names and you can do all this stuff and no one will ever find out. So it's way too easy to cheat and be unfaithful these days, and it's a common thing. So it happens more than you think. So I think it's a very relevant story. I don't really find it cliche at all. I mean, I've gone through it myself more than once. I've been on the receiving end of being cheated on, and I know the emotions that are at stake here. So I connect to this part of the story because I understand how Lana's going to perceive it, and I understand Kyle trying to, no, like that was a long time ago, or whatever. I've been on both ends of it, so I'm very, not that I've cheated before, but I mean, I've been, on that end of trying to explain your way out of something. So it to me, it's relevant and it's a strong story, and now we're going to see what happens, as a result of it coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really hard watching. Basically, Sarah tries to put up a front and do the father-daughter dance, but she just can't take it. And then she's basically having a panic attack, and this confrontation between her and Kyle and Lana, and that kind of, that comes to a head. And, basically Lana says, okay, we're going to deal with this as a family, but later. And so this was kind of interesting to, okay, let's put a brave face and finish out the day. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. Now here's where I get a little confused, and I think, Flash, you've shown your hand on this a little bit, but let's just regroup here a bit.
Okay.
So I'm intrigued by the way that Lana sort of handles everything in this scene, because it seemed like she definitely knew about the girl at the bar. But then she also tells Kyle, you told me you were just blowing off steam like when you went to the bar. So that almost made it sound like she didn't know he was having an affair. So I don't know if maybe she thought it was like a one-time thing. Like she found out it happened. Maybe it was a one-night stand. Maybe it was like a drunken thing. But maybe not an ongoing affair. I don't know. Like, I was confused by the way everything played out and kind of her reaction.
Well, and that's what I was trying to get at. I don't think she knew that he cheated. She just knew that that he was at the bar a lot and knew that there was someone there that he probably talked to a lot. Maybe he mentioned her, hey, I've got a new friend at the bar or whatever. You know, she obviously knew about him, and that's why she quickly said, oh, the girl at the bar, that's the person you've cheated with? Like, she knew of her. She obviously knew of her, but I just don't think she thought he went that far. That's what I was trying to say. So she immediately connected who it was, because he obviously has told her about this girl. Maybe, like I said, a new friend, or I'm just whatever the bar girl's name is, you know.
Tanya.
Tanya. Yeah, I just had a good talk with Tanya. I'm better. I blew off some steam. I don't know. Who knows? But like you're saying, I don't think Lana knew he actually slept with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I hope we get just like a little bit more on that.
Yeah. Clarity. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's all we got for this week, because there's no John Henry or Natalie. They just were not in town this week.
They were just mentioned, but that's about it. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to our favorite scenes, which is always fun.
Shape out an eagle!
All right, Harley, you are starting it off this week.
I am. So I called this particular scene Chrissy Says.
Here it is.
There's nothing we can do to change that.
Hey, just going over some of my old alley videos, trying to see if I missed anything. You want to help?
Can't. I have an appointment. I just came by to grab some notes.
Chrissy, I know that you're mad at me, but we're supposed to be working on this story together.
Except we aren't. Because whenever I work with you, Lois, I can't help but feel like I'm working for you.
That's not fair.
May not be fair, but it's the truth. Everything with you is on a need-to-know basis, you deciding what I need to know. Why didn't you tell me the whole Lucy story?
I didn't think it was relevant.
To whom? You can't just pick and choose what facts you think are important. You did the same thing with Morgan Edge. You only give me the information that you want me to have, and I wind up looking like an idiot. Makes it really hard for me to trust you.
Sorry that you feel that way.
It's fine. It just confirms what I've always known.
Which is what?
If you want the truth, you have to find it yourself.
Yeah, you see what I mean, though? Lois was really cold to her. Instead of being receptive and apologetic, she was really cold to Chrissy being mad at her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she totally was. Here's what I love about this scene, though, and this is what I love about the Chrissy character and the choices they've made, is that she totally just lets Lois have it. And, honestly, she really deserved it. I hate to say it, but, to your point, she's being kind of cold. She hasn't trusted Chrissy with the truth. And while we as viewers understand why, Chrissy doesn't, and she can't trust Lois. They're supposed to be business partners. They are business partners. They're in this thing together, and she's on a need-to-know basis, and that makes her feel less than, and they're supposed to be equals. So I totally get it.
Well, Lois is supposed to be working for Chrissy. She hasn't. I don't know if were they partners or did they partner up?
Yeah, no, she bought it, and she bought out half.
Right.
Okay,
so they are actually partners. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, X-Force.
I called this one A Toast to the Woman of Honor, so let's take a listen.
I can only fit Woman of Honor on my little soundboard here.
Thank you all for coming tonight. It means so much to us to be surrounded by our family and friends. All of you who have watched Sarah grow into the woman that she is today. So often when we think about our kids, we go back to the moments when they were little and they needed us to pick them up and kiss away their tears. I miss those days. Oh, will I? I miss them. They were some of the best of my life. But I'd rather be here right now because of this unbelievable young woman that's standing before you tonight. Sarah is someone who will always fight for what's right, even when it's hard. She is a daughter strong enough to pick me up and wipe away my tears, and sure are a lot of those sometimes. Sweetheart, you are my inspiration. You're my heart. You're my best friend. And there's nothing I would change if I can just keep you by my side. Te quiero mucho. I love you.
I just really love Lana's toast for Sarah. You can just see and hear the pride, the love, the respect, and just for all that Sarah's overcome and who she's becoming. I just really just love that motherly pride there, and just for the real reasons you need to appreciate somebody, not the, she could have mentioned that she looked gorgeous in the dress and all these other things that are outward that are true, but she's, mentioning those inward strengths and characteristics, and I just really loved it.
I think it was Sarah's reaction, just the "I love you." There was so much emotion in the way she said that. That actress has really blossomed to a good performer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the Lana Sarah scenes. They're so good.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, mine is called Super Twin Powers Activate.
John, what's going on, man?
Can we just not get into this right now?
Come on, keeping secrets never works out.
He says the guy literally keeping a massive secret. Dude, can you just for once, just quit acting like you know everything?
Yeah, well, can you quit lying to my face?
I'm not lying!
You have powers.
Jordan.
No wonder you were so much stronger this morning. Why didn't you just tell me, man?
Okay, they just started coming in a couple of days ago, and I just, I wanted to get a feel for them.
Come on, we gotta go tell Mom and Dad. Come on.
No, whoa, can I just have a little bit longer?
Yeah, they're gonna find out anyway.
I get that, but my powers have barely started coming in, and you know that Dad's gonna pull me off the team as soon as he finds out, right?
Yeah, probably.
Exactly, okay, so can I just get a couple days just to figure this out before he gets involved?
It's Sarah, I gotta take this.
Okay, hey, can we talk about this later, please?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
It's a fun scene, and I just like their brotherly relationship. Not all brothers get along like these two do and always support each other and have each other's back, even when they're in a disagreement about something. Makes me wish I had a brother like that. It sucks being an only child. I would love to have that. Yeah, you too, X-Force? Yeah.
Yep.
I would just love to have that to bounce off of, to grow up with, to have that support and that friendship of a sibling. But so it makes me appreciate that scene, and the fact that it's the big question is, does Jonathan have powers now? Because whoa, it was cool. His eye, it was cool. It was a cool moment.
Yep.
It was a good scene.
All right. Well, we talked about it a lot at the top of the show. We're just going to remind you one more time about our Patreon and how you can support the show.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
Don't keep it to yourself now. Come on, baby, talk to us. It's feedback. Yeah.
Yes, it is, and we're going to kick it off with an email from Comic Geek Kev. So this is going in a different direction than I thought, but I love that they are bringing together the Ali Lucy cult and Bizarro stories. The show really doesn't disappoint, but I hope we see Lucy again. If Bizarro is Clark's opposite, shouldn't he be clean-shaven? And with red hair. The pendant is a gateway to another world dimension. I'm not familiar with any kind of shadow self connection to Bizarro in the comics, so this is a pretty cool direction that they are taking it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if maybe Chrissy was out of line with Lois, accusing her of keeping secrets, but I guess she is right in some extent. I mean, she does keep things from her, but she's got a pretty big secret to keep with Clark. But Lois should have been upfront with her about Lucy. I'm chalking it up to her trying to protect her family because she is otherwise way too smart for that. If they're supposed to be working together on a story, how does one person keep such important info? But I was glad to see Chrissy realize that Lois was right about Allie being dangerous. I would love to have seen what Chrissy saw. Is it the same world that Bizarro is from? Do all the members of Allie's flock see that same world? If so, I would think that Chrissy would mention that everyone there was Bizarro. Might we see... Yeah, do they all look like Bizarro? That with that kind of zombie look? Is that his world? People look like that?
I don't know.
I don't know. Might we see some Bizarro versions of other characters? Clark suggesting there might be yet another Lois suggests that perhaps we will. How many pendants are there? Who was Allie's father that he had one to begin with? So many questions that I hope they answer at some point. Yes, just like we were asking. Question, how many more times will the words bizarre/Bizarro be used before we just call him that? Yeah. Nice to see Anderson at least being affected by the deaths of most of his super team, but not enough to help Superman. What a putz. I love that word, putz. The K is giving John multiple powers. I thought Candace had said everyone got one power. Maybe because he's half Kryptonian? I foresee the following. Powered up John goes against Bizarro or someone else, and the powers fail, leaving him in big trouble.
Could be.
Yeah. Poor Sarah, finding out about Kyle on her big day. Looks like Dean is going to hold that info in his back pocket for now. I'm guessing we haven't seen the last of that. Outside of the Cushing's relationship, I hope it doesn't lead to Lana dropping out of the mayoral race. Another great episode, giving it 9 out of 10 Twisted Faulkners. Until next time, Comic Geek Kev. All right, up next is Dad L.
It's good to be back with you in Smallville. I love seeing Superman and Bizarro duke it out, but I'm glad we got some more this week. We got to understand more of Bizarro's motivations. On a previous feedback, I speculated that Allie and Bizarro were connected, and I even asked, is the cult catching glimpses of Bizarro's universe? Turns out they are doing that through the pendant. I cannot wait to find out more about it. I'm so glad that we get more of Lara in the Fortress of Desertude. And Clark called it the Fortress, so hopefully both are here to stay. I also like the sibling rivalry. Jonathan handled everything so well last season. Everything was going wrong for him, and everything was going right for Jordan. Yet he was still an awesome brother. I wanted to see a little more strife because I thought it would be more realistic. Now we're getting that strife. I'm still not crazy about the XK drug use, but it does make sense in this larger plot line. I'm still meh on the Cortez, formerly Cushing storyline. I understand they need some drama to make the mayoral race interesting. I just wish they had thought of something else. My rating, 8.5 cups of spiked tea. Dad L, last father of Krypton.
Yeah, no, good thoughts. He's in line with us for the most part. Next up is Perry White.
Hey, fam of Steel. It's Perry White here with feedback for Superman and Lois' episode. You'll be a woman. It's still a bit disappointing that they didn't find a way to incorporate this song in this episode, but I digress. I'm also going to give my rating at the end, but in honor of your 200th podcast, I'm going to list the 200 things that were special about this episode. I hope you guys brought your pillows.
Oh, gosh.
And your Snickers
Wow.
I'm just kidding, of course. I will, though, break my feedback down to how I feel each character or plot point tied into the episode title. Girl, you'll be a woman soon. Although I'm not a big fan of Kyle's storyline, there were two narrative choices that I appreciated. I like the fact that Sarah overheard about Kyle's affair. If Jordan had used his super hearing to listen to Kyle, he might have been racked with guilt over whether to tell Sarah about it. It might have even led to a conversation about whether Jordan should tell Sarah about his powers. But I like the fact that Sarah heard it. I mean, it's just a little thing, but it gives her an active narrative in the story rather than making her character passive and reliant upon Jordan's decisions. And I like that. The companion part to that, to me, was after Kyle's secret was revealed to Lana, she and Sarah had this amazing moment during the quinceañera. The message, or at least in my opinion, and I'll be really interested to hear how other folks took it, but the message to me was essentially, while Sarah's world may be crumbling, she won't break because she's been through a lot. She's becoming a strong woman, and quite frankly, she's built for this. This, to me, sort of feels like Sarah's passage into adulthood, and I'm really interested to see where that goes. I felt like the title fit Chrissy's narrative as well. In her previous dealings with Lois, and in her initial meeting with Allie in this episode, she appeared quite timid, almost childlike. But in this episode, and in a couple episodes leading up to it, Chrissy stood up to Lois. And even after she foolishly drank Allie's tea, I mean, come on. This woman is the head of a quote-unquote cult. No one should ever be drinking her tea. But anyway, Allie drank the tea. And ultimately it led to a situation where she was finally able to see Allie for who she truly is, which is a freaking monster. And Chrissy also sort of gave us our first literal peek into this alternate Earth where Allie is in charge. I can't wait to see that on screen. And strangely enough, the title also played a role in Clark's storyline, I feel like. After his knockdown fight with Bizarro, he took Bizarro to the one person who could provide help and answers, and that's his mother. Probably the most knowledgeable quote-unquote woman that he knows. And his mom helped us to literally understand Bizarro. So I thought that was great. Now, to the storyline I was least invested in, and that was the apparent, and I feel like manufactured tension between Jordan and Jonathan. I still believe that this particular XK story does Jonathan a disservice. In the first season, Jonathan seemed fairly reasonable for a 15-year-old kid, and especially after the conversations that he had with Lois about the fact that they were both the humans living in the world of supers, I just got this feeling and this impression that Jonathan had finally come to grips with who he was and sort of his path in the world, and to basically have him decide to take XK because he's sitting on the football bench, that just felt lazy, and it didn't feel like enough of an inspiration for him to try to do something so dangerous. I think a better story, in my opinion, might have brought in another quote-unquote girl, a woman on the show, and it might have been a more organic way for Jonathan and this XK story. Because of the relationship that Jonathan had with Steele, I mean, it would have been wholly appropriate that he went to see Steele while he was in the hospital. And during that visit, it would have also been incredibly convenient for him to run into Natalie, who was there to visit her father. And as Steele lay there unconscious, it would have been nice for Natalie and Jonathan to have a conversation. And during that conversation, Jonathan could have been or had the realization that if Steele had superpower somehow, not only would he have been able to help save other folks, but he would have also been able to save himself this terrible trip to the hospital. I think that might have been a more organic and real way for the show to say that Jonathan decided to take XK, not because he's sitting on the football bench, but because he feels like that this would be a way for him to save people, save his family, and ultimately save himself. So here's my rating for the episode. I'm going to give this episode an 8. It might have been higher, in my opinion, if they had done the XK story in a different way. And while there were things that I really, really liked about Sarah's story, I can't help but tell you that I was ultimately more interested in Chrissy's storyline and Lois's storyline and in Clark's storyline. And every time they cut away from those stories to go to the quinceañera, I must say my interest waned a bit. So anyway, happy 200th podcast, folks. I'm glad I found this little pod family. This has been Perry White making another deadline, and as I head out, I'm going to leave you with the smooth, soulful tunes of Al Green that sort of encapsulate how I feel about this podcast family.
Oh, baby, let's stay together, loving you weather, times are good and bad, happy or sad.
Oh, Perry White, you got to buy me a drink before you ask me to dance to music like that. Come on.
Well, I loved it.
Awesome thoughts, and thank you so much for the 200th. Congrats, guys. I don't know if did we post that on Facebook somewhere, or is he just that good of a listener that he knew what number we were coming up to?
We mentioned it in our Patreon hangout.
Did we?
Okay, so that's weird. Yeah, I don't remember.
I think so.
Awesome thoughts. Yeah, I think he's being influenced by Dreamweaver a little bit there, starting to add music clips and everything to his feedback.
Yeah.
Hey, starting to have some fun. We love it, guys, and your sense of humor there too. I'm going to list out the 200 things about this episode.
I know. You should have seen the look on all of our faces.
We're like, what?
So funny. But I almost challenge you to do that in a written feedback for the heck of it to send to us. That would be funny.
That would be funny. We're not going to read it, but not like out loud. I mean, we'll read it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, privately is what I
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as always, it's Perry White followed by Dreamweaver to wrap us up. So take her away, Harley.
All right. Hello, fam of Steel. Dreamweaver here with my feedback for Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 5, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. I promise I'll be getting back to voicemail soon, but I can never get back from work in time to sit down and give the time to record on Thursdays. It's okay, I'll forgive you.
Just one time.
Just once. Yeah, that's it. I am rating this 7.5 banana muffins out of 10. I liked it better than last week, but there are some storylines that are really dragging it down for me right now.
Huh.
Yeah. First, we got a flashback, and Allie has a pendant similar to Bizarro's. So what she's making people see is related to Bizarro. That's good that those are connected. But seeing a world where Allie, or a version of Allie, has taken over everything, that's bizarre. Maybe even a little parasitic. I'm glad that it looks like Chrissy is not going to fall for Allie, but instead seeing this truth as dangerous. I was worried there. And Chrissy, never take food or drink from a creepy stranger, especially one that's a cult leader. It's like Cult 101. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Come on.
Unless she wanted to actually see she wanted to take the trip that everybody's talking about.
I don't know.
Maybe that was part of her investigation.
I really want to give Chrissy the benefit of the doubt, but I highly doubt she saw that coming. Anyways, on the other hand, I'm really not enjoying the Jonathan taking drugs storyline. I was really pleasantly surprised last season when they made sure to veer him away from being a stereotypical jerk of a jock, but so far this season, They're putting him right back into the stereotype, just with some superpowers. I get that the brothers need something, and so far they're not really tied into the main two plots, the cult and Bizarro, but this is just feeling flat to me. There's only so long John and Jordan can keep the powers and subsequent drug use a secret from their parents. I wonder, though, if this really will unlock John's actual abilities and he won't need the drug after a while. Though I liked having one kid powered and the other not, to give a foil to both of their parents.
She must really love my favorite scene then. It's her favorite.
On the topic of other storylines I don't like, what they are doing with Kyle. Him having a cheating storyline definitely fell into a trope, especially with how we were introduced to him, and good on him, I guess, for going to end things and make sure they ended, but I could really do without this drama for him. I will say that how they had it play out, with Sarah being the one to see him and walk out on him in the dance, was well done for how they set the episode up, but at the same time, I feel really bad for Sarah and Lana. Where there's a party in a TV show, there's always drama, no doubt about it, but sometimes I do wish they were just happy and celebratory.
But the same thoughts, you're wondering what they're going to do with the Kent brothers. What else is there for Kyle? What kind of storyline can they give him? He's kind of a sideline character with not a lot to do either, so...
I know.
I don't know.
Unless this storyline is setting up for the Cushings, nay Cortezes, to see Bizarro versions of themselves from the other world to reflect on what their shortcomings are, and how strong they are together, I don't particularly see the need for it. Alright, on to the best parts of the episode, which was everything about Bizarro. Now, showing Dr. Faulkner like that felt like they were really pushing the boundary of their 8 o'clock time slot. Right? Reminded me a bit of how the antagonist in season 2 of Jessica Jones was killing people. And I know I harped on the look of the fight in the last episode, but Superman's fight with Bizarro through the barn and mines this time around was amazing. It looked so good, from the choreography to the cinematography to Clark realizing what he had to do to knock him out after realizing he was everything opposite. Holding him at the fortress and having Lara be able to flip his speech is great, if not a little bit of an easy way out of trying to learn how to communicate. If everyone heard Bizarro speaking backward, though, that suffices to say that Bizarro probably heard everyone else speaking backward, so they were probably miscommunicating on both fronts.
Oh, yeah. Good perspective.
True.
It does feel a bit like the writers are following the same template as last season, with having someone start out as a threat and antagonist, only to learn that they have come from another world to stop the bad thing that happened on their world from happening to this one. But hey, I do want to know more about the other world and what the heck Allie has done there and how it connects back to her family's work. Well, that's all my thoughts for now. Until next time, your friend Dreamweaver.
And hence DC going against everything that Crisis was supposed to do and combined things down the wad. Now they're spreading it out again. Yet another new world.
Yep.
Awesome thoughts all around, guys. Thank you for the fantastic feedback as always. And another reminder we started before our hiatus is that during the week, you guys want to send in extra thoughts, our Patreon supporters, for extra bonus content. You're allowed to send us, what did we say, a question about each show? One question about Superman and Lois, one question about Legends, or like Perry White threw at us a completely off-topic question about us. You guys can send us each an extra question for this week's worth of shows, and we'll record the extra content on Friday nights after we're done our Legends show, and then we'll release that to Patreon only for you guys to get the extra content. So you Patreon supporters listening in, remember to do that, because we want to amp it up and give you guys more. So send us those questions. And that is all we got for tonight. So to join the show and do what I just told you to do, listen to this.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
And that wraps us, guys, for our week back. It's fun. It's good to be back.
It was good.
Yeah. Great episode.
It was a great episode.
It was a good episode, but most of us thought so. We'll have to, hopefully our discussion helped Dreamweaver bring her rating up a little bit.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, everything is going back. We've got 2 episodes of Legends before they are done for their season, and we still don't know if a season 8 is coming. No word on that. I guess we'll wait and see how they end this season. I guess the finale cliffhanger or non-cliffhanger will tell us.
We'll have to find out.
Really?
We'll see.
Yeah. Interesting. So I still have to watch that. It was on tonight, so I have to go watch that as soon as we're done here.